Today has been so incredible. Just the speakers have been amazing. I am so humbled to be on the same stage as all of them. Just truly thank you for all of the amazing work that you guys are doing. And just the sheer brain power on this stage is incredible. And I am up here doing it with less brain than any of them. But like actually medically, like I have less brain than all of them. And the interesting thing about that is that JD probably didn't know that when he was asking me to speak today. And in order to be a speaker here, I'm sure that he thought that I would talk about some things and the work that I was doing with teen mental health. But to truly answer the call to authenticity, I wanted to share something a little bit more personal. When I was ending my sophomore year in college, I was diagnosed with a brain arteriovenous malformation. Now you can think about that like a mass of veins and arteries that are fused together in the back of my head that I've had since I was born. Now when you connect a high pressure system with a low pressure system in that way, even the slightest change could potentially cause it to burst. And the truth is, doctors don't really know that much about it. They don't have a lot of data on how to deal with them. But what they did tell me was that this plum-sized mass in my head was 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters by 4 centimeters. And centimeters are a lot bigger than you think they are. And it was strange because the brain is such an incredible organ. I am walking around here without most of my occipital lobe, which is the part of the brain that has to do with sight. But I am the only person in my family that doesn't need glasses. And it's not like I can feel it back there. There's no nerves in your brain. So imagine being told that you have a ticking time bomb in the back of your head that could burst at any minute, and you feel exactly the same way you do right now. It was so strange. I'm not gonna lie. And I assumed that having that reminder of death so clear would cause things to come into focus of what I wanted to do with my life. It would give me some sort of carpe diem attitude, like Queen Latifah in The Last Holiday. I would just be going out and doing what I wanted to do. And the truth is, sometimes that happened, sometimes I felt that. But what I realized was it shifted my priorities to focusing on things like achievement and accolades and whatever I deemed as success at that time. And I didn't need that. If you've ever heard of the best little boy in the world hypothesis, it's this idea that as you grow up gay, one might mask that difference by chasing conventional metrics of success. And I could have been the poster boy for that hypothesis. I was literally the top of my class in high school. I was volunteering at a crisis hotline. I got into Stanford. I was a freshman RA. I was in an a cappella group. I directed and choreographed the Big Spring musical as a sophomore. And it's wild to think about that. But imagine that kid, and let's add an AVM. See what happens. So then I'll bring you to the moment that I first talked to a doctor after my diagnosis. I remember sitting in that hospital room with my mom next to me and my dad on speakerphone, also a doctor, from across the country talking to this doctor about different ways of treating this, what we were going to do. And my mom asked the question, "Doctor, my son is about to go into his junior year at Stanford, and he's majoring in engineering." A casual mom brag. "Is he going to be able to do all of the things that he wants to do?" And the doctor said, "I'm going to be honest with you and temper your expectations. After a surgery like this, your son might be able to work at McDonald's." Now imagine the best little boy in the world being told that that would be his future. The other side of the phone went silent. I could feel my mom next to me starting to cry. But I didn't cry. And when my dad started speaking again, and he said, everything is going to be okay, I said, I know. Because I did know. Because what filled me at that time was not fear or anxiety or that pressure I had been feeling. It was an overwhelming sense of gratefulness. I was grateful that this happened to me and not to somebody else. Because the truth is, I was the perfect person for this to happen to. My dad is literally a neurologist. My stepmom was a hospital administrator with access to the foremost AVM surgeon in the country. I had health care. But it's even more than that. I had my family and my friends and a community behind me that I knew that no matter what happened, with their support, I would be okay. And the sad thing is that there's a lot of people in this world who don't have that. Especially queer people, who may be ostracized from their family or their friends. And if this experience has taught me anything, it is that we all have a duty to be that community for them. It's wild. As I was starting this mental health company for teenagers, I saw that as teens were signing into our program, one of the most common things that they would say they were joining for was loneliness. And we can think about loneliness in the abstract, but it has real, actual consequences. There are studies that show that lonely people are 50% more likely to have a premature death. And I can stand in front of you today, very confidently saying that I am not going to be one of those people. Not only because of the incredible community that I have, but also because about a year ago I had another conversation with a doctor. And that doctor told me that the targeted brain radiation that I had undergone had cured me of my AVM. I thought that when you have some deadly diagnosis, you would all of a sudden find the meaning of your life. That didn't happen for me. It was after I was cured that I finally had a moment to breathe and think about what I wanted to do with the time that I had just been granted. And instead of figuring out what I wanted to do with my life, I figured out that I had a community behind me that would support me in whatever it is I chose to do. And that, I realized, was my call to action.